The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. Once, great empires filled the stars. Trade routes shined with light. Peace was strong, and the Galactic Council ruled over thousands of worlds. But now, something was wrong. Planet after planet went silent. Ships vanished. Cities were destroyed. No one knew who, or what, was behind it. In the middle of this fear, a weak signal began to play. It came from a broken planet called Avon Prime. The signal was full of static and old code. Most species couldn't understand it. The language was dead. The equipment sending it was too old. But someone heard it. Someone understood it. Earth. Yes, Earth, the lost world. Long ago, humans had disappeared from the stars. Some said they destroyed themselves. Others believed they went into hiding. The Council had not seen a human in over 300 years. To most aliens, humans were just a scary story from the past. But now, Earth had responded. Far from the core worlds, deep in space, a ship woke from sleep. Its name was the Resolute. It was black and sharp like a knife. Its engines lit up, and in one smooth move, it launched toward Avon Prime. Inside the ship, Commander Mason Gray stood at the front window. He was tall, silent, and looked like he had seen 100 battles. His eyes didn't blink. His voice, when he spoke, was calm. "Prepare for arrival," he said. Behind him, a small crew moved quickly. There were only 5 humans on board. No one else was needed. "Coordinates locked," said Zara, the ship's tech officer. "We'll reach Avon Prime in 5 hours." "What do we know about the signal?" Mason asked. "It's a call for help. Old tech, alien language. But someone is alive down there." Mason nodded slowly. "Then we'll answer." On the other side of the galaxy, in the high chamber of the Galactic Council, leaders from many species gathered in shock. A report had come in. A human ship had been seen. Active, moving toward the source of the signal. "No, it can't be," whispered Counselor Jurek, a tall, blue-skinned alien from the Vari race. "Humans are extinct." "Extinct or hiding," replied Counselor Ree, a green-scaled reptilian. "We told ourselves they were gone, because we were afraid." The council leader, High Speaker Varn, stood. His voice echoed through the hall. "Track the ship. Do not contact it. We must see what the humans do first. And if they are a threat, we will act." Silence followed. No one in the council room wanted to admit the truth. They were scared. Scared of what humanity might be now. Hours later, the Resolute dropped out of light speed above Avon Prime. The planet was a graveyard. Its cities were broken. The air was gray. Fires still burned in the distance. The ship landed quietly near a cave system marked by the signal. Mason and his crew stepped out, wearing black armor. Their boots crunched on ash and rock. "Life signs detected," said Zara. "Underground." Mason raised his hand. "Let's go meet them." They moved into the cave with no fear. Their helmets gave light. Inside, they found a small group of alien survivors, thin, weak, and frightened. Their skin was pale and their eyes wide. One of them stood up. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Who are you?" he asked in broken standard. Mason removed his helmet. "We're from Earth," he said. "You called for help. We came." The alien gasped. The others whispered, "Humans, you're real. We thought you were just myths." Mason knelt beside a child and handed her a water pack. "We were gone, not dead. Now we're back." Outside the cave, unknown to Mason and his team, the sky shimmered. In orbit, 3 ships uncloaked, dark, insect-like, and terrifying. They did not belong to the Council. They were not friendly. These were Drakon swarm ships, old enemies of the galaxy, creatures of war and hunger. And now, they had found Avon Prime again. One of the aliens in the cave felt it. His skin crawled. "They're back," he whispered. Mason looked up. "Who?" he asked. "The ones who destroyed our world. The Drakon." Mason's eyes narrowed. He tapped his helmet. "Zara, we have company." Her voice came through fast. 3 ships. Unknown design. Getting closer. Mason stood. "Looks like the real trouble just arrived." Above, the council watched from hidden satellites. The feed was clear. One counselor whispered, "Why are they staying?" Another answered, "They could leave, but they're choosing to stay and fight." In silence, they watched as the humans began to build defenses outside the cave. The survivors helped. The child handed a tool to Zora. Others brought supplies. There was no fear in the humans' eyes. And that's when High Speaker Varn said something that chilled the room. "If they are still this strong, after all this time, then what have they become?" The night on Avon Prime was cold and silent. Commander Mason Gray stood at the edge of the broken city. His armor was dark, his eyes sharp. Behind him, his team worked fast, building barriers, setting up turrets, scanning the skies. Inside the cave, the alien survivors watched with wide eyes. They had never seen anything like these humans. Calm, quiet, deadly. One of the survivors, a young alien named Lena, followed Mason as he walked. "You're not afraid of the Drakon?" she asked softly. Mason looked at her. "We've seen worse." She blinked. What could be worse than them? He didn't answer. In the command tent, Zara stared at her screen. Red dots were moving fast toward the planet. "They're coming," she said. 3 Drakon scout ships, maybe more behind them. Mason entered. "How long?" 20 minutes. He nodded. "Activate defense grid." The crew moved without fear. These humans weren't like the stories. They didn't panic. They didn't run. They prepared. Each one of them had trained for this moment. In the caves, the aliens whispered to each other. "I thought humans were gone." They were hiding. No, they were waiting. An old alien named Sarek, the leader of the survivors, stood up. His voice was rough. "I remember the stories," he said. "A long time ago, humans fought monsters no one else could face. They never gave up. Some said they were dangerous, but maybe that's what we need now." He looked toward the cave's exit. "Maybe danger is the only thing that can fight the Drakon." Outside, the sky lit up. The first Drakon ship broke through the clouds. It was black and alive, with sharp legs and glowing red eyes. It screamed through the air and fired. Boom! The ground shook. A turret exploded. But the humans didn't stop. They returned fire with quiet precision. Zara's voice came through the comms. "Target locked. Firing now." A pulse cannon fired from the ship. The blast hit the Drakon ship and tore it in half. The alien survivors screamed in shock. One ship down, just like that. Mason walked calmly toward the next turret. "Next one's mine," he said. In orbit, the other 2 Drakon ships circled. They scanned the human ship. Strange energy readings. New tech. It wasn't what they expected. These humans were not weak. The Drakon commander hissed in anger. "These are not like before." He ordered an attack. Back on the ground, Mason spotted the second ship diving fast. He raised a long rifle. Nothing like what the aliens knew. The barrel glowed blue. As the ship came closer, he fired once. The bolt hit the ship's engine. It exploded in midair, raining fire and metal. The aliens gasped. Lena stared at Mason. "How did you do that?" Mason looked at her. "We learned. We adapted. We survived." The third ship tried to retreat, but it was too late. The Resolute launched a drone that followed it, fast as light. The drone hit the Drakon ship, cutting through it like a blade. The sky went quiet. 3 Drakon ships, gone in minutes. The aliens stood in silence. For the first time in years, they felt something strange. Hope. Later that night, around a small fire, the aliens and humans sat together. Sarek spoke first. You saved us. Why? Mason looked at him. Because someone has to stand. But why you? Lena asked. The council forgot us. The galaxy turned away. Why would humans return? Mason's face was quiet, serious. We were watching, listening. We saw what was coming. And we knew no one else would help. So we prepared. Zora added, Earth became a fortress. We trained for one purpose, to stop the end of everything. Sarek nodded slowly. Then you are no longer what the galaxy remembers. Mason's eyes were cold. No, he said. We're something else now. Far away in the council chamber, the leaders watched the battle footage. They destroyed 3 Draken ships, with only 5 people, one counselor said in shock. They didn't even use full force, another added. High Speaker Varn stood and faced them all. We thought humanity was finished. We were wrong. They were reborn. He looked at the screen. And now, they are not just survivors. They are warriors. For the first time in many years, Avon Prime was quiet. No bombs. No screaming. No Draken ships in the sky. But Commander Mason Gray knew it wouldn't last. Inside the Resolute, the crew was busy. Zara worked at her screen, eyes sharp. They're regrouping, she said. The Draken lost 3 scouts. They will come back with more. How many? Mason asked. Too many. In the cave, Sarek sat with the other survivors. Do you believe the humans can protect us? One alien asked. Sarek looked out at the horizon, where smoke still rose from the wreckage of the enemy ships. They did more in 1 hour than the council did in 5 years, he said. Lena sat beside him. Her small hands held a piece of the drone that destroyed the last Draken ship. They're not like us, she whispered. They fight like they already lost something. And they don't want to lose again. Up in space, deep in a dark region called the Maw Rift, the Draken High ship opened its claws. It was massive. Bigger than a city, it fed on energy, metal, and life. Inside, the Draken Overlord watched the battle footage. His face was twisted, full of rage. Humans, he hissed. They still live. One of his warriors knelt. They are strong. The scouts were destroyed. But our full force will crush them. The Overlord leaned forward. No, this time, we don't just destroy them. We break their will. We show the galaxy that humans cannot save anyone. He pressed a sharp claw on a glowing panel. Prepare the fleet. On Avon Prime, Mason stood at the edge of a cliff, scanning the skies. Zara came beside him. We need to move the survivors, she said. The caves won't protect them from what's coming. Agreed, Mason replied. There's an old mining facility south of here. We can fortify it. They returned to the cave. Mason spoke to Sarek and the others. We're moving you. There's a better place. Safer. Sarek nodded. Then we follow. But before anyone could move, Zara's comm beeped. Incoming ships. 15. No, 20. All Draken. Mason's voice turned sharp. Launch the ship. Get the survivors out of here. Zora's eyes went wide. What about you? Mason picked up his rifle. I'll buy you time. The skies over Avon Prime turned red. Draken ships fell from the clouds like burning knives. Fire lit the land. Their engines screamed. The ground shook. Mason stood alone in front of the cave, his armor glowing with a strange blue light. One of the alien children watched from the ship's window as it lifted off. Is he staying? She asked. Lena nodded, eyes full of fear. He's going to fight them. Alone. The Draken ships landed hard. From them came dozens of warriors, clawed, armored, fast. But Mason didn't move. He took one step forward. His armor changed. Pieces shifted. A hidden weapon unfolded from his back, long, sharp, and humming with energy. The first wave charge. Mason moved. Fast, like a shadow. His blade cut through the first three Draken like paper. He rolled, fired, and turned. Every move was perfect. Every shot clean. More came. 10, 20. Still, he stood. Still, he fought. In orbit, the Council's secret drone watched the battle. He's alone, a counselor said. But he's not losing, another added. No, said High Speaker Varn. He's winning. They stared in silence as the human warrior fought an army. Not with fear, not with mercy, but with something else. Fury. Inside the fleeing ship, Lena watched on a screen. Tears ran down her face. He's doing this for us. Zara turned and looked at her. No, he's doing this because that's what humans do. We don't run from monsters. Back on the ground, Mason was bleeding. His armor was cracked. But the Drakon were fewer now. Slower. Then the high ship appeared in the sky. Huge, alive, hungry. Mason stared up at it. He spoke one word. Finally, the sky above Avon Prime turned black. The Drakon high ship had arrived. It blocked the stars. Its long arms stretched like claws, ready to crush everything below. Lightning sparked across its surface. The ship wasn't just metal. It was alive. Commander Mason Gray stood alone on the burning ground. Around him, the bodies of dead Drakon soldiers smoked. His armor was cracked. His energy blade was low, but his eyes were still sharp. He looked up. So, he whispered, you finally sent the big one. Inside the high ship, the Drakon overlord watched through red glass. This one human, he growled, has already cost us more than 100 drones. We will crush him slowly. His voice echoed through the hive. Thousands of Drakon screamed in reply. Far away, on the old mining facility, the human ship landed with the survivors. Zara ran to the control room and set up the long-range screen. He's still alive, she said. Lena stood behind her. But for how long? The screen showed Mason, standing small under the giant ship. More Drakon dropped around him like black rain. Sarek stepped forward. Can't we help him? Zara shook her head. Our weapons won't reach him in time. Then she paused. But there's one thing we can do. Back on the battlefield, Mason fought like fire. Drakon after Drakon came for him. He moved through them like a storm, cutting, dodging, firing. His body screamed with pain, but his will didn't break. Still, the high ship opened lower doors. More enemies, bigger ones. Then, silence. A new Drakon stepped out. Taller, heavier. Its armor was red. Its claws sparked with lightning. This one was a hive champion. Mason took a breath. Now it's a real fight. The champion moved fast. It roared and swung its claws. Mason ducked, rolled, and slashed. Sparks flew. Blood spilled. The ground shook. For minutes, they danced in deadly combat. Blow after blow. Mason hit the champion's chest. It staggered. The champion roared back, slamming him into a broken wall. Mason groaned. His ribs cracked. He coughed blood, but stood up again. Meanwhile, Zara was sending data to Earth. We need backup. Not soldiers, something stronger. The AI in the ship responded. 1 orbital drop unit available. Confirm target. Zara hit the button. Up in orbit, high above the planet, a black cylinder detached from Earth's defense grid. It fell fast, silent, burning. Mason was on one knee. The champion stood over him. You lose, it growled. Mason looked up, smiling. No, he said. You forgot something. The sky screamed. Boom. The black pod crashed behind them. Dust flew everywhere. The Drakon paused. Then the pod opened. Out stepped a massive suit, human Mark X exo armor. Heavy, armed, bright blue lights glowing. Mason limped toward it. The suit opened for him. He stepped in. The armor sealed shut. Systems came online. "Welcome back, Commander." Now, Mason stood taller, stronger. He turned to the champion. "Round 2, he said. The fight was brutal. The champion attacked, but now Mason didn't move. He blocked the claws with one arm, hit back with a hammer fist. The ground broke beneath them. Laser cannons fired from his shoulder. Boom, boom, boom. The champion roared, then exploded. Mason stood alone again. Inside the high ship, the Overlord screamed, "This is not possible." He slammed his claws. "I will go myself." Back at the mining facility, the aliens watched in awe. He fought the Hive champion. "And won," Lena said softly. Sarek nodded. "He is no soldier. He is something else." Zara smiled. "He's human. And now, the Hive will learn what that really means." The high ship slowly began to land. Its claws dug into the planet. Inside, the Overlord prepared for war. And Mason? He walked forward, his armor glowing, his voice calm. "Send your best," he said. "I'm not done yet." The world watched. Not just Avon Prime, not just the survivors, but every outpost, colony, and space station with a screen. A lone human had faced the Drakon, and won. And now, the Hive ship had landed. But Commander Mason Gray wasn't running. He stood in his heavy armor, facing the monster that had taken thousands of lives. The galaxy held its breath. And back on Earth, the call had been received. In the massive underground command center of Earth Defense Command, alarms flashed. General Hayes stood in the center of the room. Her voice was sharp. "Get me orbital view of Avon Prime. Now." A soldier pointed to a screen. "Ma'am, it's true. The high ship is there. Commander Gray is holding position. Alone." General Hayes stared at the screen. "He bought us time. We're not wasting it." She turned to her team. "Launch Operation Iron Rain." Above Earth, massive carriers opened their bays. From them dropped pods, hundreds of them. Silent, deadly. Inside each pod was a soldier, a human, trained for only one thing, to fight impossible enemies. Back on Avon Prime, Mason walked toward the Hive ship's open claws. Drakon drones came for him, dozens at once. He moved like a machine. His armor punched holes in the enemy. Missiles launched from his back. His cannon arm tore through flesh and metal. But he was still only one man. He knew it. And then, the sky changed. The clouds above Avon Prime began to glow. Lines of fire streaked down from the sky. One by one, the pods landed with thunder. The ground shook with every hit. Mason paused, then smiled. "You're late," he said. The first pod opened. A soldier stepped out, tall, armored in black, visor glowing red. She looked at Mason and nodded. "Commander, nice of you to join me, Sergeant." All around, more pods opened. 100 humans stood on the ground. The tide had turned. Inside the high ship, the Drakon Overlord screamed in rage. They called for help. From that dead world. His advisor trembled. "These are not normal soldiers, Overlord. They err." "I know what they are." The Overlord roared. "Earth's elite." His claws tapped the ship's core panel. "Then we send everything. Burn the planet. Burn it all." The battle began. Hundreds of Drakon poured out of the high ship. But now they didn't face one man. They faced humans. Trained, ready, and angry. Sergeant Ray led her squad through the wreckage, cutting down enemies with perfect aim. Sniper teams set up on the cliffs, picking off Drakon with cold focus. Mason, still in his power armor, charged into the center of the enemy line, drawing fire, crushing attackers. Lena, watching from the safe zone, gasped. "They came," she said. Zara nodded. Earth doesn't forget its people, or its promises. As the battle raged, Something deep inside the hive ship moved. A strange pulse. A signal. The Drakon weren't just fighting to win. They were buying time. Inside the mining base, Sarek picked up the strange energy reading. This is not a weapon. It's a gate. Zara turned. What kind of gate? Sarek's voice was cold. One that leads somewhere worse. Back on the battlefield, Mason heard the deep rumble. He turned and saw it. A glowing hole opening beneath the high ship. Purple lightning crackled around it. Something was coming through. Not just more soldiers. Something ancient. Something bigger. Mason pressed his comm. Command, they're opening a rift. Possibly extra-dimensional. General Hayes responded. Copy that, Commander. New objective. Close that gate. At all costs. Mason looked at the growing storm. At all costs, he repeated. The camera zooms out. Fire. Smoke. Battle cries. Humans fighting side by side. Machines and monsters locked in war. A single man walking toward the light of the rift, his weapon raised. The rift grew larger. Purple lightning cracked through the air. Rocks floated. The sky above Avon Prime twisted into strange shapes. Time and gravity bent near the giant hole under the high ship. Mason stared at it from a distance. Even in his power armor, he felt cold fear. Whatever was coming wasn't from this galaxy. Behind him, human troops fought hard. Sergeant Ray led her team through a wave of Drakon drones. Plasma and bullets lit the sky. But now, even the Drakon were falling back. They were afraid too. Commander, Ray said through comms, the hive is pulling back. Why? They're not retreating, Mason replied. They're making room. For what? Then it arrived. A giant hand, black and burning, reached out of the rift. It had too many fingers. Its skin was rough like stone, but it moved like flesh. The hand dug into the ground and pulled up a massive body. The creature's head rose. It had no eyes, just a mouth full of jagged teeth. It roared, and the sound made the ground crack. Soldiers dropped to their knees, clutching their helmets. Even the Drakon stopped. Some screamed. Some ran. Zara watched from the safe zone. Her voice shook. What is that? Sarek looked pale. It's not part of the hive. It's something older. Something even they fear. Inside the hive ship, the Overlord stared at the beast with wide eyes. We opened the gate too far, he whispered. We can't control it now. One of his commanders asked, shall we shut it? The Overlord did not answer. He ran. Mason stood tall. He raised his cannon and fired at the monster. The blasts hit, but barely scratched it. Ray joined him. Got any ideas? Just one, Mason said. Hit it with everything. General Hayes watched from Earth Command. Launch satellite strike, she ordered. Focus on the rift. Up in orbit, 3 human satellites turned and locked on the rift. Seconds later, energy beams shot down from the sky. The light hit the creature. It roared in pain, but it didn't fall. Instead, it stepped forward. One leg, then another. It was fully out now, towering over everything, and walking toward the city. Mason knew they couldn't stop it alone. He opened a comm to Zora. You said the mining base has old fusion reactors. Yes, she replied. Why? Overload them. Zora blinked. That'll destroy everything for miles. I know, Mason said, but it might take the monster with it. Zara and Sarek rushed to the control room. Warnings flashed as they opened the power cores. Sarek's hands moved fast. 10 minutes till full overload. Back on the battlefield, Mason and his team worked to slow the creature. They laid traps, set charges, hit it with rockets. Still, it moved forward, slow but unstoppable. Minutes passed. Core at 80%, Zara said. The creature reached the edge of the mining base. Mason ran ahead. I'll lead it in. You won't make it out. Ray shouted. Mason didn't answer. He charged toward the monster. He jumped on its leg, climbed its back, fired into its neck. The creature roared and turned, following him into the canyon, straight toward the base. Core at 95%, Zora called out. She and Sarek jumped into a transport shuttle. We need to go now. The shuttle lifted off as the monster stepped into the base. Mason jumped off its back and landed hard. He crawled toward the cliff. Come on, he whispered. Come get me. The creature followed, right over the reactors. Core at 100%, the AI voice said. The screen blinked red. Reactor overload. Final countdown. 10, 9, 8. Mason looked up. He smiled. Not bad, for one man. 3, 2, 1. The base exploded. A white light swallowed the monster. The blast wave hit the mountains. Everything shook. From above, it looked like a new sun had been born. Then, silence. The transport shuttle landed near the ruins. Ray and the others ran out. Mason, she called. Nothing. Just smoke. Then, something moved. A metal hand pushed through rubble. Commander Gray stood up. Armor broken, body weak, but alive. The soldiers cheered. The creature was gone. The rift was sealed. And the high ship, gone, vanished into deep space. Sarek spoke quietly. That thing came from another place. If the Drakon can open it once. Zara nodded. They might do it again. Ray looked at Mason. What do we do now? Mason looked at the sky. We prepare. The battlefield was silent. Ashes fell from the sky like snow. Smoke still rose from the broken ground where the rift had been. What was once a peaceful mining planet had become a scared memory. But it was over. The hive was gone. The creature from the rift was destroyed. And Earth had answered the call. Commander Mason Gray sat in a quiet hospital room on Avon Prime. His armor was gone. His body was wrapped in bandages. Machines beeped softly beside him. He looked out the window at the stars. Ray entered the room. She held a small device. It's time, she said. Mason nodded. Let's speak to the galaxy. A grand hall was prepared on Avon Prime. Holoscreens floated in the air. Millions watched from planets, ships, and stations. The United Worlds Council had gathered. Leaders from 100 species sat in silence. Then the human flag appeared. Commander Mason stepped forward, leaning on a cane. His voice was calm, firm. When your people cried for help, Earth heard you. He looked across the room. You told stories about us. Some true, some lies. You said humans were violent, wild, dangerous. He paused. You were right. Gasps filled the hall. But what you didn't understand, Mason said, was why we fight. We fight for those who can't. We fight when no one else will. We fight because someone must stand between the innocent and the monsters. In a mining camp nearby, Zora and Lena watched the speech. Lena whispered, "He sounds like a legend." Zora smiled. "He is one now." Back in the hall, Mason continued. "You saw what we did. You saw the price we paid. That price was not just for us. It was for all of you." He turned toward the council. "If the hive returns, we'll be there. If the rift opens again, we'll face it. But don't wait for disaster next time. Stand with us." He raised a small device. "This is Earth's beacon. A signal. A warning." He pressed the button. A message echoed through space in hundreds of languages. "If you are in danger, if no one else comes, humanity will." From Earth to the stars, the message spread. In deep space, explorers picked it up. On forgotten planets, rebels heard it. Even on dark hive worlds, the signal played, reminding them who answered when the galaxy begged. Later, as Mason rested, Ray sat beside him. "Think they got the message?" Mason smiled. Oh, they heard us, loud and clear. Far away, in a hidden hive system, a dark chamber pulsed with red light. The Overlord, different from the last, watched the human message repeat. He turned to his advisors. They are dangerous, but now they are not ignored. A voice behind him whispered, should we fear them? The Overlord's eyes narrowed. No, we will learn from them. Back on Earth, the skies above the capital lit up with signals from across the stars, all saying the same thing. Thank you. And somewhere, on a quiet hill near an old farmhouse, a child looked up at the stars and asked his father, Dad, are the stories true? The man smiled. All of them, but remember the most important one. What's that? That when no one else stood up, we did. The end.